There are 3 chairs at Shinnecock Hills this week that should not be empty. Not because of injury, not because of age, not because the game passed them by. Empty because the sport they gave everything to, quietly, efficiently, without a single apology, showed them the door. 9 days from now, the greatest major venue in America hosts the 2026 US Open. Scottie Scheffler will be there. Rory McIlroy will be there. But 3 names that shaped how millions of people fell in love with this game will not be. And the reasons why tell you everything about where professional golf is right now. What makes this genuinely difficult to sit with is who these 3 players are. These aren't names scraping for sponsors' exemptions. These aren't journeymen grinding qualifying Monday after Monday just hoping to sneak inside the cut line. These are fan favorites. Players whose names in the draw change how a week feels. Players whose presence at a major shifts the entire storyline before a single ball is struck. Their absence doesn't just thin the field. It exposes something much darker and much more uncomfortable about where professional golf finds itself in the summer of 2026. About what the sport is becoming, and about who gets left behind when the politics of the game are decided by people who don't answer to the fans. Personally, I think the USGA is standing on solid ground here. Their rules exist for a reason. The exemption system is clear, the pathways are available, and nobody gets a free pass because their name draws clicks. But solid ground and right don't always feel the same thing. And for 3 players, 3 very different situations, this week at Shinnecock is going to sting in ways that go way beyond a missed paycheck. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think the USGA should have bent the rules even once for a name this big? And if major championship drama and the real politics of professional golf are why you're here, subscribe.
Because this channel is built for exactly this conversation. 3 names, 3 very different reasons. 1 governing body with 0 interest in making exceptions. And that's exactly where this story gets uncomfortable. What separates the US Open from every other major on the calendar is one thing and one thing only. The USGA doesn't answer to the PGA Tour. They don't answer to player agents, to television networks, to Saudi-backed leagues, or to sponsorship portfolios. They are a completely independent governing body. When it comes to this championship, their word is final. No appeal process, no override button, no quiet conversation behind closed doors that changes the outcome. Their exemption system is deliberately, almost brutally, strict. To earn a place in this field, a player must either sit inside the world's top 60 in the rankings, hold a qualifying exemption from a recent major or significant title, survive the grueling 36-hole qualifying process open to any professional in the world, or receive one of the special exemptions the USGA almost never hands out. USGA CEO Mike Wan has said it publicly and without apology. They are, in his own words, fairly stingy when it comes to those exemptions. His position is entirely straightforward. The US Open already offers more qualifying pathways than any other major championship on the planet. If a player genuinely wants to be standing on the first tee at Shinnecock, the routes exist. What the USGA will not do is manufacture an extra route simply because a famous name is sitting on the other end of the request. That stance is brutal to a lot of golf fans. It is also exactly why a spot in this field means something. Because nobody walks through the gates of Shinnecock Hills on reputation alone. 3 legends hit that wall. But before we get to the names, you need to understand what those names would have meant at this specific venue. Because that is what makes this genuinely painful. Shinnecock Hills is not just another major venue. It is one of the most historically significant courses in American golf. Narrow fairways, relentless wind off the Atlantic. Greens that punish the slightest miscalculation and reward absolutely nothing but the purest, most disciplined ball striking in the world. This is a course that has broken great players and defined others. When the US Open returns to Shinnecock, the whole sport pays attention. Because Shinnecock has a way of producing moments that stay with you for years. The 2026 edition was already carrying enormous anticipation before a single ball was struck. Scottie Scheffler in the field, Rory McIlroy chasing history, a loaded international field on a course that demands everything. On paper, this looked like one of the most compelling US Opens in a generation. Then the absences started arriving. The first name you are about to hear was once the single reason millions of people turned on the US Open at all. Tiger Woods is not playing the 2026 US Open. Not because of his back, not because of his ankle, not because of the long list of surgeries and setbacks that have defined the final chapter of the greatest career professional golf has ever seen. In late March of this year, Woods was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence following a rollover crash near his Jupiter Island home in Florida. He took a breathalyzer test that showed no alcohol in his system but refused a urine test. Investigators believe impairment may have been caused by medication. Within weeks, he announced he was stepping away from the sport to seek treatment and entered a 90-day intensive rehabilitation program in Switzerland. The Masters? Gone. The PGA Championship? Gone. Now Shinnecock Hills? Gone. When the USGA was asked directly about a special exemption, CEO Mike Wan did not soften his answer. He told Sports Illustrated he would be super surprised if Woods teed it up at Shinnecock this year and made clear he does not expect Tiger to compete in any USGA championship this season. No exemption, no sentiment, no exception for the most iconic name the sport has ever produced. Tiger at Shinnecock carried real, generational historical weight. That possibility is now completely off the table. As painful as that is, the second name delivers a different kind of hurt entirely. One that has been building for over 2 decades, and has just quietly become permanent. Phil Mickelson has won 5 major championships. He has finished runner-up at the US Open 6 times. 6. A record that long ago stopped being a footnote about near misses and became one of the most emotionally loaded storylines in the entire history of professional golf. A record that broke the previous mark held by Bobby Jones, Sam Snead, Arnold Palmer, and Jack Nicklaus. Names that tell you everything about the company Phil keeps. 6 times. The one major that escaped him stayed just out of reach. And the 2026 US Open is at Shinnecock Hills. The same Shinnecock Hills where Phil finished runner-up in 2004. The same fairways, the same wins, the same greens where he birdied 15 and 16 to grab the lead, then 3-putted from 5 feet on the 17th for a double bogey that handed it back. Agonizingly, heartbreakingly close. The only major he has never won is being played at the exact course where he almost won it, and he will not be there. His 5-year exemption from winning the 2021 PGA Championship expired last year. He did not attempt to qualify. No special exemption has been offered, and none is expected to come. The US Open at Shinnecock without the one man whose entire career has orbited around winning it. That is not just a missing name in a field. That is the cruelest unfinished story in professional golf arriving at its most painful chapter. 2 names down. The third doesn't just hurt. It exposes the structural fracture that professional golf has been trying to paper over for 4 years. Sergio Garcia has played in the US Open for 25 consecutive years. 25. That is not a streak. That is a career-defining constant. The kind of record that becomes woven into how you understand a player's entire legacy. Garcia at the US Open was simply assumed, year after year, the same way the championship itself was assumed. That assumption ended last year. At the 2025 final qualifier in Dallas, he gave everything he had, and still fell 1 shot short of a playoff. 25 years, finished. And this year at the 2026 qualifier, also in Dallas, he tried again. He came back to the same site, put himself through the same 36-hole grind, and again could not make it through. Twice running now. And the reason has nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with the USGA. It has everything to do with Live Golf. The Saudi-backed league does not award official world golf ranking points. Without those points, Garcia cannot earn automatic entry into the US Open. His only route is qualifying. And qualifying at 46 years old against a field of hungry young professionals with everything to prove is an entirely different challenge from walking in as an established major champion. The tour he chose quietly closed the door to the championship he spent 25 years competing in. The USGA didn't do that. The structure he signed up for did it for him. 3 names, 3 completely different situations, one catastrophic in its personal tragedy, one heartbreaking in its cruel irony, one damning in what it reveals about the broken infrastructure of the modern professional game. Shinnecock Hills will still produce extraordinary golf this week. Scheffler will be there, McIlroy will be there, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, John Rahm, The current generation will compete on a course that demands absolute precision and rewards nothing less than the best golf of their lives. The championship will deliver. It always does. But the three names walking the Shinnecock fairways only in memory this week represent something the sport cannot ignore for much longer. Tiger's situation is personal. It is a human story before it is a golf story, and it deserves to be treated with the weight it carries. Phil's situation is the product of choices and timing and the cruel mathematics of sport, where careers end not with a trophy, but with a quiet door closing somewhere you weren't watching. Garcia's situation is the direct consequence of a golf war that promised its soldiers freedom, prize money, and relevance, and quietly, methodically stripped away their access to the biggest stages the sport has. The USGA didn't create any of these situations, but their rules are where all three of them became final. So here is what I want to know from you. Which of these three absences hits the hardest? Tiger, the greatest of all time, brought down by something entirely off the course. Phil, the man who spent his entire career chasing this one tournament, absent at the exact venue where it almost happened. Or Garcia, 25 years of history, ended not by age, not by injury, but by a political decision made in a boardroom that had nothing to do with golf. And here is the bigger question. Do you think professional golf finds a way to fix this before more legends disappear from the stages they helped build? Drop your answer below. If this kind of honest, uncomfortable conversation about the real state of professional golf is why you are here, make sure you are subscribed, because Shinnecock is 9 days away, and this story is not finished yet.